As a YouTuber, I get to play with really cool gadgets as my job, which is pretty cool. So I thought I would put together a really awesome gift buying guide for all of you. But the holidays coming up. Depending on what you celebrate, happy holidays. For us, it's Christmas, which means Christmas shopping. And we've got some items that I think you're going to like. These are the things that I've just grown to love over the course of 6 months to a year of using them, and I can't live without. So today, let's do a gift buying guide here at 2-Bit DaVinci. We will have links and products and prices, but follow the links to make sure you get the most up-to-date prices. These prices are going to be as of December 16th, 2022. All right, let's get started. The first item is the Fanttik XA Apex Portable Tire Inflator. Now, this was one of those things that I've never thought about before, but now I've grown to absolutely rely on. It is really portable. It costs about $119. It is the cheapest item on our list, and it's one of those things that you never know when you might need it, but it comes in handy a ton. It's battery powered. It has a flashlight. It can even charge your phone. So let's say you go to Disneyland, as you come back to the parking lot, your car is not starting and your phone's dead. Well, you could plug it in and charge it back up a little bit with this. The battery size is just enough to be able to inflate all 4 tires of your car. We also use it for footballs and basketballs, various things you can blow up. Also, my wife uses it to pump up the tires in her jogging stroller. So it comes in handy a ton. And before this, I had an air compressor and a hose, but it was always such a pain to take out, run the hose out and plug into the cars that we didn't really keep the tires inflated as much as we should. Now, there's no excuse. If the Tesla says, hey, this tire is a little low, you can just top it on, set the pressure that you want. So for example, 42 PSI, hit go and walk away. And when it reaches 42 PSI, it turns off. It's freaking amazing. I think you guys will love this one. That's the Fanttik XA Apex Tire Inflator. All right, number 2 is the Emporia 16 circuit energy monitor. Now this comes in at $164, and honestly, it's a bargain at this price. It can monitor up to 16 circuits in your service panel. So if you have a regular service panel, you don't really know how the electricity is being used or where, you can tap into 16 different circuits and you can watch on your smartphone exactly what's using power. And you might be surprised to find you have some phantom draw or different things that use way too much power. It's a great tool to start figuring out where all your energy waste is happening to maybe upgrade. Maybe you get a new refrigerator or whatever based on this data. Now, the only problem with this is it does require some installation, right? You have to get into the service panel, and if you're not comfortable with that, call an electrician, probably for like $100 or $2. They can get in there and clamp the different leads and cables to get started. So it's a little bit of an installation challenge, if you will, depending on how handy you are, but it's a really cool product and it is a killer deal for that price. All right, moving right along. Next up is the Rachio Smart Sprinkler. Now this comes in around $168, still on the economic side, if you will, but it's really cool. I had the Rachio 2 in my previous house. We had it for about 3 years and it was fantastic. It's really smart. It knows the weather. It knows when it rains to skip watering. And it also does really cool things like helping the water leach into the ground a little bit more. So if you put it to water this tree for 30 minutes, it might sprinkle for 10 minutes, let it soak, and then come back later. And also if you live on a hill where the water might just run off, this comes in really handy. So it's one of those really nice things that once you set it, it does a good job. And it even has like a leak detection feature and things that lets you know if you have problems. It comes in really handy, and for that price point, it's really good. We're on the 3rd generation now, and I've actually already purchased a 16 zone unit. I just haven't installed it. Now, kind of like the Emporia, the challenge here is the installation. If you have wires running to sprinkler heads and they all come into a place and you have a sprinkler controller today, well, installation is really easy. You take that off, you put the new one on, and you're done. The reason why I haven't installed mine is I need to trench and run sprinkler wires to all of my sprinkler heads first and before I can install it. So that will take probably a whole day, maybe 2, and it's been just enough work that I haven't done it yet. But check that out, see where you're at with that. It might be a cool gift idea. Next up is the Flume water meter, staying on the idea of water. This comes in at $180. And we've made a video about this in the past. I was blown away by how amazing this thing is. First and foremost, check out our website. We'll put links down below to make sure that your water meter is going to work. Now, the way this works is it doesn't work on just every single meter, but odds are it'll work for you, but just double check and make sure. Installation is a breeze. You find where the water meter is out on the road and you just strap this little meter onto it. And then you hook it up to Wi-Fi. There's a couple of steps. And once you're online, you can find out how much water your house is using minute by minute. It'll alert you if water's been running for a long time. Maybe you turn on a hose and then you got a phone call and you forgot and the water has just been running. This would tell you after about 15 minutes, hey, there's a huge water draw somewhere, and you could oh shoot, that was that, and go and catch it. For us, we actually have found a couple of leaks. And our first video that we made back in, I think it was April, we found a couple of leaks and fixed them, but 2 more have popped up, and they're all irrigation related. Our irrigation system is not in good shape, and I think you're starting to see what we have to do is get in there and really modernize it before we can have any kind of good water management. But the Flume comes in so handy, and we absolutely love it. That data is just cool, just to see how every little activity that we do impacts how much water we use. And depending on where you live, water is probably a big deal. All right, next up is the Bouge RV copper indium gallium selenide solar panels, or CIGS panels. These are super cool. They come in at $289. We'll have a link below. But what's really interesting about these is they are ultra flexible. They are a unique and new modern standard of solar panel that's traditionally been used in space and other applications, but as prices have come down, they've entered the residential market. Now, what's really cool about this is you can roll them up like a poster almost. So if you had 5 or 6 of these, you can kind of set them together, roll them all up, put them in your trunk, and then roll them out if you're going camping or something to keep things charged and topped off. Also, unlike other things that do roll, some things kind of bend, but they don't roll. That's a traditional monocrystalline cell. And then there's thin film. But the problem with thin film is they're closer to 7 or 8, 9% efficient. These are like 20% efficient, 16, 18%, closer to a normal solar panel. So it's like a normal solar panel in terms of output, but a thin film in terms of flexibility. So if you have an RV, you go camping or anything else, they're ultra lightweight and they're really fun. And when I do science experiments now, where I'm gonna try to figure out where the best place to put my solar panels are, or see if there's shading and other concerns, this is the panel that I grab because they're just so lightweight. If a traditional panel weighs 50 pounds, this weighs 5. Pretty amazing. And speaking of solar is a good segue to our sponsor this week, Hoymiles. So we are really close to finally being able to go solar, and it can't come soon enough for us. The reason is because we got our entire 12 months of electric bills, and we paid $5,800 in electricity. So our solar system is going to pay for itself very quickly. We have a bigger house, we have 2 houses, we have a pool, we just use a ton of energy. And there's a ton of places where you can improve, but going solar is kind of step 1. We got our new roof done, that's kind of what's been holding us up. The next place you can save money, of course, is solar panels, and then of course, micro inverters. So when it comes to inverters, you can either go string, which is typically cheaper, or micro inverters. On our house, we live on a hill. There's shading from the mountain on this side. We have trees and other considerations. So shading is a big problem for us. So microinverters are really nice. And with Hoymiles, what's really cool is they can have systems that are 1-to-1, meaning every panel gets a microinverter, like most of them do. But they also have 2-in-1, 4-in-1, and even 6-in-1 systems. Each gets individual inverting. They're all isolated. Shading on one doesn't affect the others. All the benefits of microinverters plus way cheaper prices. And that's why we've decided to go with Hoymiles for our entire system. They have really cool smart monitoring. They have a data unit and that are connected to the Wi-Fi to be able to send this information to the cloud to see in real time and all that kind of stuff. And they're really, really efficient, good warranties, good company, good technology. They just check all the boxes for me. So check out Hoymiles today. Link in the description. All right, next up, we have the DJI Mic. Now, DJI makes about 50 products we could have put on this list. We use DJI drones. We use the DJI Ronin stabilizer for our camera gear. But the DJI Mic is pretty amazing. It comes in a rechargeable carrying case with 2 transmitters and a receiver. The receiver you can plug into your phone, for example. I have an iPhone 14. We do that sometimes. We also use it for our Sony FX3. But even without that, you can trigger local recording on the transmitters too. Now, the reason I put this on here is because my son had a recital recently, and I mic'd him before he went up on stage to sing. And in our video, you can hear him singing. So it's not just the chorus like everyone, but I can individually pick him out because of the fact that he was mic'd. And that's one of those really cool use cases. The first time you show that off to your significant other, loved one, family, grandparents, they're gonna be like, how did you do that? And this is how. It's really cool. Chargers in the case. As filming, videographers, the DJI Mic is unbelievable. Really good quality, good features, reliable. We actually have 2 at all times. So definitely check that out too. And that comes in at $329. All right, next up, this is a Juan pick. Juan is our lead editor. And I saw him wearing this and I was trying to figure out what he was doing. This is the Nreal AR augmented reality glasses. Now for $379, I think they're right at the right point of price where it's worth checking out and experimenting with them. What's really cool is they're pretty high quality. They don't look that weird or anything. They don't have a battery built in. They just power off of USB-C. So any device that you have that has USB-C output, you can just plug it in or get this adapter to go from HDMI to USB-C. But the USB-C provides power for the glasses, and you get this really high quality, good looking picture right on your head. And the reason I've used this recently was on an airplane. So normally you're crouched down, your neck starts hurting after an 8-hour flight to Japan or something, looking at a phone. But with this, you can just sit back and rest, put your head on the headrest, and you're still seeing like a big movie picture, right? It's like a big screen TV in front of you on a little pair of glasses. It's pretty cool. And I think it's cool enough that you should go check it out. The way Juan uses it is for the camera work. He'll put those on to get a really good picture so he can see the focus levels and stuff. And they have like a shade option to really block out the light, because our Sony is a little bit hard to read out in the field. So this really helps with that. Next up, another Juan pick is the Steamdeck handheld gaming console. This thing comes in around $530. I think it goes up to $600 depending on the configuration. But this is also one of those where I was skeptical. I didn't really think, handheld gaming, is it going to be good? But it's freaking really good. Go check out the reviews and see other stuff. But I'm blown away at just how good console quality graphics you can have in the palm of your hands. Sure, the battery life is the one thing, because it is such a high powered unit compared to like a Switch, but you can play all your games right off of your Steam library on the go. And that's really the coolest part about it. I don't want to have games in different places. So for us, everything is on Steam, and the Steamdeck is one of those devices that it just pops up in my head as one of my favorite devices of 2022. All right, next up is a series of things that have been a pain in my side since I moved into our new house. Where we live, our internet monopoly is Cox, and Cox has always been a problem. In fact, I would say our internet speed is one of our greatest challenges as a company. Cox used to be good 10 years ago when I first moved here, and not everybody was streaming Netflix. But these days, there's times when I'll look, my wife, my 2 sons, other people, there's like 5 or 6 Netflix streams going on at the same time, right? So internet and networking has been a massive challenge. This is the Ubiquiti Access Point bundle, comes around $700 or so. But the first thing I'll say about this one is networking can get really expensive. And Ubiquiti sent me a starting kit, kind of like a couple of pieces, and I've already spent a ton of money on new things, but I want to move to an entire Ubiquiti network. Ubiquiti is a prosumer grade. It's a little more of a high-end networking system. Now, if networking scares you, this is probably not for you, but if there's like a networking guru or nerd out there that would love this kind of stuff, the Ubiquiti system is really cool. It has individual analytics. It can tell you what individual devices are doing online. You can make it so that certain devices can only access one network and limit where the sites that they can visit and things. It's really powerful, really cool networking. So the combination of Ubiquiti running between the 2 houses and the next item, we've finally gotten some better internet. I've enforced rules that limit how much bandwidth devices can consume and things like that. So next up is the T-Mobile 5G internet. This is an amazing little thing, and it might be one of my absolute favorite products of 2022. It's $50 a month. We have no sponsors or no deals or anything else, but it's just an over-the-air 5G modem. And as a result now, our upload speeds went from 30 megabits, which was all we got with Cox at the highest rate plan. Now we get closer to 90 to 100. And honestly, the reception is still improving where I live. I live on a mountain, so it's a little bit of a challenge. But I have it mounted up high in my upstairs room and running to my router. And as a result now, we have pretty decent internet. Now, the Ubiquiti system can bond the 2 together, and you can even tell it how you want to distribute the packets and stuff. So what I have it doing is about 60% of the data and traffic goes through the T-Mobile and 40% goes through Cox. And if either has a problem, it can detect it and kind of go the other way and keep the internet more reliable. That's one of the coolest parts about it. There are other systems that do that too, of course. So I'm just telling you about the things that I've been really pumped about. Now we're getting into the really expensive territory, but there's 3 more items. Bear with us. Maybe a little splurge gift for yourself or your loved ones. I don't know. These are expensive, I'm not gonna lie. First up is the Roborock S7 Max V vacuum cleaner. This comes in at $1,399. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but honestly, this is now the 3rd generation of robot vacuum that I've had. The first was 10 years ago. They were complete crap. They just bumped around and got tangled and stuff. That was no good. The next generation had the LiDAR mapping, so it kind of mapped your room and kind of knew what it was doing and was much more optimized and efficient. And then now we're in a world where there's cameras and AI that actually can detect what you're looking at and avoid obstacles. It even does mopping, and it does a really pretty good job with it. The Max V Ultra comes with that dock where it'll automatically empty the dustbin. Currently, there's only, one-time use bags Hopefully Roborock adds a feature to have like a cyclone cylinder that I can take out and dump out and put back. I don't like waste, but right now they don't have that. And then there's the clean and dirty water bins. The app will tell you, the status of if the dirty water is too full or if the clean water is empty. You just fill them and dump them. But every time I dump out that dirty water, I think to myself, I'm not mopping anymore. I'm not vacuuming anymore. It's pretty amazing. I would say that this is the best robot vacuum money can buy, honestly, at this point. So is it expensive? Yes. There are some cheaper upgrades, by the way. The S7, the one that doesn't have the cameras or the AI or the mopping or the water bin stuff, is less than half that price, and I still have mine. It runs in my office, and the Max V Ultra runs in the main house, but both are pretty good. And there's some other really good ones out there. Check out the channel Vacuum Wars. They do amazing coverage. I buy or review my vacuums based on his testing. Really good YouTube channel. We'll put a link below. All right, next up, now the prices are getting really high. This is one of my favorite things I have gotten all year, and that is my 8 sleep bed. So this is a smart bed with a heat pump system, 2 individual water loops, so my wife and I can both set the temperatures that we want. And there are beds out there that have a heating pad, right? You can heat up. Heat is easy because you just run a resistive element and warm yourself up. But the reason why this is special is it's heating and cooling, and it's smart. So it tells you like how you should sleep. So I've learned so much about good sleep since I got this thing. First of all, eat earlier in the night. That way your body is not working so hard while you're asleep because you're not getting that much good rest. Secondly, this actually saves us a ton of money on energy because while it's hot out, our room is upstairs. It gets really hot up there. We would used to run the air conditioning constantly try to go to bed because it was so hot. Now we can scale that down, and with this bed, set it to the cool setting, and you're laying in bed nice and cool, even though the room is warm. So as a result, you don't have to cool and heat an entire room. And in the winter now, the opposite, right? Our room is kind of cold, which I'd prefer, but the bed is always nice and warm. You ever get in bed in the winter and you're like, oh, it's gonna be so cold when you first get in there? Not anymore. This thing has a schedule, it programs, it even tracks your sleep. It tells you in the morning if you slept well or not. It'll be like, you were tossing and turning, what happened? And you can kind of tell it, I ate late, or alcohol, other things that you were doing, and it'll kind of start to understand you and give you good feedback. It is an incredible, incredible bed. And honestly, for us, the comfort temperature-wise has been amazing, all right? Finally, there's the EcoFlow Delta Pro. Now, EcoFlow has been one of our favorite products of the entire year for sure. And actually, the EcoFlow Delta Pro is about $3,600, but there's also the Delta 2, which we also have. And whenever we don't need that 80-pound battery with 3.5 kilowatt hours of storage, we'll take the Delta 2. Both are good. We'll put links below to go check them out. But our Delta Pros, we have 2 of them, run our office with the smart home panel, and it's been pretty dang cool. The most recent use case for us was that my wife volunteered for Halloween. So there were booths where people were giving out candy, and we had one of these booths. Everybody else had a generator, so it was smelly, and I was getting a headache from the fumes, especially the food court. There was a little food area where you can buy, like chili and various different little snacks. And they were all running on generators and stuff. It was horrible. The whole area just was bad, but not us. We had our Delta Pro out there. My wife was running some inflatable ghosts and pumpkins and some Christmas lights and things, or Halloween lights, I guess you can say. And our entire booth all night was entirely battery powered. And it's just one of those things where she thought of it, not me. She was like, hey, will there be power out there? And I was like, oh, good question. So this thing comes in handy all the time. Our power goes out once in a while. We had an 8-hour power outage about a month ago. And when it did, we took the Delta Pros to the refrigerators, plug in the refrigerators, and keep them running. And then we actually used the Delta 2 to run the router and networking gear. And since the Ubiquiti network that we talked about has power over Ethernet, it can actually power your access points from that main router. So just plug in the router and the modems. We had internet and the refrigerators stayed on. So that is a look at some of my favorite products, and some of those were big time surprises. I did not think that I would love them as much as I ended up loving them. So what about you guys? If you have recommendations or stuff that we should check out, leave them below and we can try to review them and get our hands on it to see how we like it. And also chime in in general if you have other ideas so that we can all kind of learn from it. This has been fun. If you like videos like this, if you want us to kind of cover our favorite sustainability-centric items like this, we can do that in the future. If not, this could be a one-off as well. Happy holidays to all of you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of our community. We wish you guys nothing but the best, and we'll see you in 2023. Cheers.